This is WRAL-TV 5, Raleigh-Durham, Fayetteville. From North Carolina's news leader, this is the 6 o'clock news with Bill Leslie, Renee McCoy, meteorologist Glenn Schwartz, and Bob Holliday with sports. This is WRAL-TV 5 News.
The crash of a local television station's helicopter claims 3 lives, yet spares 1.
Good evening. I'm Carol. Renee McCoy is on maternity leave. Kurt Autry is sitting in for Bill Leslie. Local television is mourning the loss of 3 of its own tonight.
An early morning chopper crash has claimed the lives of 3 staffers at WTVD Channel 11. Now, the victims were the station's helicopter pilot, a technician, and a photographer. The sole survivor is WTVD sports reporter Tony Debo. An A-Star model helicopter went down in southwest Wake County early this morning, returning from a high school football game. It's the busiest night of the week for any TV sports department. Typically, sports reporters and photographers scramble to as many games as they can possibly cover.
My colleague Tony Debo is standing by live in Wilmington to cover one of the...
Yet for Tony Debo and 3 other Channel 11 staffers, this Friday would be anything but typical. Just after midnight this morning, the WTVD Air Special A-Star apparently lost power and fell from the sky. No one witnessed the crash, even heard the noise. Sheriff's deputies stumbled onto the wreckage in a roundabout way.
12:56 a.m., we received a call from Mrs. Mary Jones at Leach Street indicating that there was a prowl at her residence. Deputy Amy Varner arrived at about 1:10 and was advised that there was a helicopter crash here by a Tony Debo, who was lying on the front porch.
And Debo is the only survivor. 28-year-old Bart Smith, a photographer, was killed in the crash, along with the pilot, 48-year-old Jim Lane, and an engineer, 33-year-old Rick Sherrill. Morning Light revealed little information as to why the chopper went down. Early speculation is to mechanical failure. However, investigators are still in the early stage of their probe. The only certainty tonight is an entire industry is saddened, and Channel 11 is mourning the loss of 3 valued members of their TV family. Tonight, with the National Transportation Safety Board say it will be weeks before an exact cause of the crash can be determined.
Obviously, these deaths have hit staffers at Channel 11 especially hard. Colleagues felt shock and disbelief after hearing the news that 3 of their friends were gone. No one felt the loss harder than the one man who miraculously walked away from the crash. Reporter Ann Reynolds has the story.
The whole thing went dark. It just went dark and completely silent. I'll never forget it because you were dead. You were dead. You were dead. And I just don't know why I'm here.
Here for Tony Debo is a hospital room. The WTVD sports reporter is recovering from injuries to his ankle and arm in the helicopter crash, but the pain comes mainly from the heart. He's the lone survivor of the tragedy that stole the lives of his 3 co-workers. All day long, friends and station employees came to his bedside to hold his hand, to listen to him, to cry with him.
It's nothing. It wasn't anything. It wasn't a let. I called out the name. I yelled. There wasn't an answer.
The pilot, 48-year-old Jim Lane, station technician Rick Sherrill, who was 33, and photographer Bart Smith, just 28, all part of a close-knit station family. They were well-liked and skilled professionals. Smith's friends gathered at his house today to comfort his fiancée. They all exchanged fond memories of a young man who was taken away from them.
Bart wasn't a photographer. He was my partner and my best friend. I'm going to miss him very much.
Work with him every day. They were good people.
We're talking about 3 of the nicest men I've ever met in my life, co-workers, good friends, and great folks.
All 3 were engaged to be married. All 3 are gone.
Officials at WTVD are planning a memorial service for Lane, Sherrill, and Smith. No date has been set yet. Television news is a fat business, a job where we may be confronted by tragedy on a daily basis. The accidental deaths of colleagues always hits us especially hard.
On behalf of all of us here at WRAL, we'd like to express our most sincere condolences to the families and staff at WTVD during this especially difficult time. We'll be back with more news after this.
All of us in the television community are sad tonight over the tragedy at WTVD.
Some final thoughts on that is WRAL's Charlie Gaddy.
Television newsrooms are small, 40 or 50 people. In the work of gathering news and all the intensity that goes with that, we become closer than even we realize. We know each other's families and friends. We share the trials and the triumphs. That sense of family then extends to other people in our profession, and that is why tonight we also feel the loss of the three men from WTVD. Jim, Rick, and Bart, the oldest not yet 50, the youngest not yet 30. They were among those dedicated to this work who never hesitate to put themselves forward to take the risks. There are no words of comfort for their friends. The whys and wherefores of the crash will be coming in the weeks and months ahead. But for tonight, it is a time for all of us to mourn the loss of three of the best of our profession.